This Bellator conference call was recorded on November 15th, 2016. Participants were Michael Chandler, Benson Henderson, Michael Page, and Fernando Gonzalez.
Welcome to today's teleconference. I will now turn the call over to Mr. Danny Brenner.
Thank you, operator. And thank you to all the media for joining us on today's call for the Bellator 165 Chandler versus Henderson media conference call. If you'd like to queue up for questions, please press star 1 on your telephone. A couple quick notes. Bellator 165 takes place this Saturday at the SAP Center in San Jose and airs live and free on Spike, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Again, before we get started with today's call, I did want to mention that we've got a great tailgate party lined up. This features a meet and greet with some of Bellator's top stars like Matt Mitrione, light heavyweight champion Phil Davis, Hoist Gracie, and recent signings Rory McDonald and Hollick Gracie. That fun will kick off at 3 p.m. prior to doors opening for the event. On today's call, we've got our main and co-main event competitors, lightweight world champion Michael Chandler and his opponent Benson Henderson, as well as Michael Venom Page and his opponent Fernando Gonzalez. Make sure you turn into this card for 5 great fights of televised action, not to mention the professional MMA debuts of Kerry Melendez and Kevin Ferguson Jr., a.k.a. Kimbo Slice Jr. This time, operator, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Again, if you have one, please press star 1 telephone.
Our first question comes from Mike Dice with Sports Illustrated. Your line is live.
First question is for Scott Coker. Are we any closer to a specific date for Bellator debut in New York City?
Mike, sorry, Scott Coker is unable to join us for today's call.
I'm sorry. I guess the next question is for Benson Henderson. Is there any extra motivation to prove yourself in this victory after the win at the last fight ended?
I would say there's not a whole lot of extra motivation to win this fight. I'm a pretty highly self-motivated individual. I want to win all my fights. There's always extra this, extra that, new incentive this, new incentive that. I don't need any of those extra new incentives. I want to win all my fights. I want to get my hand raised in every single fight, as badly as you could, can't even imagine. So I wouldn't say any extra incentive, but, I always want to win.
And this is your second title fight in Bellator. Is there something you learned from your first go-around that you're taking into this fight?
I wouldn't say something I learned from the first Bellator title fight, but just, again, more comfort being more comfortable inside the Bellator cage, being used to the walkout, being used to how they do things. Still, the first 2 ones are, just kind of getting used to it, getting the rhythm of how Bellator does their things and that sort of stuff. So I definitely anticipate my third time being inside the Bellator cage. The third walkout, I'll be much more accustomed and used to it and knowing where I'm supposed to go, what I'm supposed to do, and not having it all be new to me.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, man.
Our next question comes from Steve Morocco from USA Today. Your line is live.
Hey, question for Benson. You're fighting for the title now. Do you think of yourself as a lightweight? Is this where you intend to stay? Or is another trip to welterweight possible in the future?
I would definitely say I don't think of how I think of myself. I wouldn't say I think of myself as a lightweight necessarily, but lightweight / welterweight. Go get this belt, and then after that, Bellator has a lot of interesting matchups at 170. Go back up there, have a couple of fun, interesting fights. It's just a wake up for me. That down 155 is always such a pain in the butt, such a drag, and make fighting not fun necessarily. So just because of that reason, I've been doing it so long. I'd say 55 or 70, wherever the most interesting, fun matchups are. But first things first, I gotta get the job done, take care of business come Saturday night.
So you mentioned fun and interesting fights. Is the title something you think about as well? Obviously the storyline of the week is 2-division champion in the other promotion. Is that a dream that you have for yourself in your career, or is it something where you want to just stay and be the most dominant lightweight champion you can be?
I'm gonna go get this belt at 155, and after that, I wouldn't say belts are a whole lot of extra incentive. Obviously, belts are nice. They mean what the meaning that they have behind the belts, that you're the best on the planet. So that means a lot to say that you are the best at that weight class. But it's not. I don't fight necessarily just for belts. You always do want the belt. You want the belt around your waist. It means something. It holds weight. It holds meaning. But I don't say I fight for belts necessarily though. But if I get a chance to perhaps fight again for a 70-pound belt, I would imagine have to prove myself at 170 a couple more times, and then to earn my way to a 70-pound belt. But all that's so far in the future. Right now, 3-4 days away. All I'm concentrating on is a man named Michael Chandler, and get my hand raised against him on Saturday night.
Thank you. And then for Michael, have you ever thought about trying for another belt? I know it's pretty early in your title reign. There's still a lot of work to be done, but has that ever crossed your mind? And if you did that, if you traveled, if you tried to win another belt, would you go for featherweight or would you go for welterweight?
I haven't put a ton of thought into it. For me, I'm just looking for the biggest fight I can possibly have. So I know there's no way I can make 145. I walk around on 190 between fights. So I'm not interested in losing the muscle mass that I have, losing the body that I've worked so hard for since I was 11 years old. So if anything, I would jump up to 170. I've spoken about fighting a couple 170-pounders. There's some interesting matchups up there with some decent names, big names. But yeah, more than anything, I'm focused like I've never been focused before. To fight this Saturday night, and I'm excited to go out there and perform.
Why is Henderson an important opponent for your career?
Every opponent's important. Every single time we fight, we're putting ourselves, our livelihood, our records, our reputation on the line. And it just so happens for me, I get a great opportunity to fight a guy who's been a champion, fight a guy who has a big name, a guy who has done some great things in this sport. But luckily for me, it's the right time for me, the wrong time for him. I'm just extremely excited to go out there and put a statement on this fight Saturday night. And he's definitely a great, willing opponent. And it's going to be a good fight, but I'm excited to go out there and get the finish.
Thanks.
Our next question comes from Chamatar Sandhu with MMA Junkie. Your line is live.
Good evening from London, gentlemen. My first question is for Benson Henderson. Benson, if I'm not mistaken, your birthday is tomorrow. You're turning 33, right?
That is true, man. Yeah, my birthday is tomorrow, the big 3-3.
Yeah, well, happy birthday for tomorrow. The reason I wanted to bring that up
Thank you.
is I know that in previous interviews you mentioned that you wanted to call it a day at 34. Is that still the plan? Is this the last year of your professional MMA career?
It's looking that way. We'll see how it all plays out. But I do want to retire when I'm somewhat younger, be able to speak coherently to my grandchildren and all that sort of stuff, And then the other thing was enlisting into the military service of some sort, whether the United States Army or United States Marines or United States Air Force, and their cutoff dates for enlisting. The cutoff dates are for the different branches vary a little bit, so I have a little bit of wiggle room. It doesn't have to be 33 if I go to a different branch. Some branches are 33, some branches are 35, some branches are like 39 now. So I have a little bit of wiggle room in that respect. But that was originally where the idea came from.
All right. Well, given that potentially this could be your last year, I mean, and title shots don't exactly grow on trees. Is that kind of putting any extra motivation or pressure? I mean, are the stakes higher for you to try and get the job done on Saturday night to kind of claim a championship in Bellator?
I could see how someone might say that or think that, but no, there's no extra pressure, no extra incentives. You're absolutely correct. Getting a title shot in any organization It's pretty tough. It's pretty hard. They don't just give them away free willy-nilly. Oh, some organizations, if you lose at a weight class and then you go up a weight class, your very next fight, they give you a title shot in that weight class. Some people have done that before, but normally, getting a title shot is pretty hard. It's pretty tough to do. I don't just give them away. You have to earn it, So I definitely appreciate and take hold value to it, to getting a title shot. I'll make sure I run with it, put my heart and soul into it, and make sure I leave that cage next to my entry with the belt around my waist.
Brilliant. My next question is for Michael Venom Page. Michael, obviously, fantastic year for you in Bellator, especially your performance in London, and given the celebration just went absolutely viral on social media. I know you've been asked quite a few times in the build-up to this fight if you've got anything special planned, and you've consistently said that you're kind of the guy that will kind of feel things out the week of the fight. So with that being said, have you got your finger on the pulse of pop culture right now? Is there something out there that you're drawing inspiration from that you're going to utilize in some sort of entertainment factor on fight night?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I'm always socially aware, but I have to get the job done first, and that's the most important thing. And the rest, you just got to tune in for.
Absolutely. My next question for you, Mike, is the fact that at the moment it seems multiple weight classes and fighting in multiple divisions seems to be all the rage. I know that you've said in the past that you could potentially drop down to 155 pounds. Is that something that you're still interested in?
At the moment, no. It's focusing on the welterweight division for now.
Okay. And if you can get the job done against Fernando Gonzalez, I mean, how much more time do you think is required? How many more fights until you are in a main event, until you are in that title picture contending for the title?
Down to kind of up to Bellator and my coaches. Again, like a lot of people ask me these kind of questions. That's not really my major concern. I just go out there and entertain, and I'll just keep doing that until I end up in the position I'm supposed to be.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate the time.
Our next question comes from Sean Alshate with MMA Fighting. Your line is live.
Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for your time today. So my first question is for Benson. I kind of expected on something you were asked a little bit earlier. I mean, you're now coming up on 3 fights under Bellator umbrella. How is any surprise the growing pace you kind of expect from the fight?
I'm sorry, Sean, you're breaking up a little bit. I didn't really get the question clearly. I couldn't quite understand.
Let's see. Is that a little better? Can you hear me a little better?
I can hear you a little bit better now, yeah.
So just to kind of extrapolate on something you were asked before, I mean, it's going to be your 3rd fight now at the Bellator. I just wonder, how has this experience been for you? Has there been any surprise with the growing pace, or you got to expect something that I'd expect?
Well, yeah, you're right. This being my 3rd fight in Bellator, having a good amount of experience. I'm just excited. It'll be a fun fight. Mike's gonna bring his best. I'm gonna bring my best, and we're gonna let the chips fall with the man. He's an exciting fighter. He comes forward. I'm gonna come forward, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to make sure I work my butt off for a long time now and make sure that I leave that cage with the belt around my waist. But 3rd time in Bellator, feeling more comfortable every time. I think it's recipe for having a great performance come Saturday night for me.
Absolutely, and a win would make you really the first guy to ever be a WEC champ, a UFC champ, and a Bellator champ. I mean, honestly, that would probably put you as one of the most decorated lightweights that we've seen. And I know you don't really care much for these type of things, but what would a Bellator title mean for you at this stage in your career?
I think a Bellator title, adding the Bellator title to the list, I think it means a lot to me because it's again, having a belt is a statement. It is a verification that you are the best, and then having a belt in 3 different organizations means you were the best in 3 different organizations. So yeah, it does mean a lot to me. I don't try to think about it too much right now. I know when I'm, maybe 55 or 40, I'll look back like, oh man, that was really amazing. It was really cool. I was able to do this. I was able to do that, and yada yada. But I try not to look at it too much. I try not to put it in too much scope just yet. But later on, I know I'll give it its scope. I'll give it its due time to mull on it, to think it over, to reflect on it. But yeah, it's historic thing I'm going after. It's not easy. I work my ass off to make sure I'm able to follow through with it too.
Yeah, and I know you've always kind of been a fan of, it seems like you paid attention to your division. So I want to know, did you watch Michael from afar when you were UFC champion, and what did you always think of him yourself?
Oh yeah, just as a fan of MMA, I'm a fan of mixed martial arts. I saw a lot of Chandler's earlier fights in his career and whatnot. Just from watching MMA. I always thought he was pretty impressive, pretty good. He's a true champion at heart. He's won his belt. He's defended his belt. He has a lot of experience. He has been hurt, rocked in a lot of his fights. He gets hit early on, but battles back and battles through and comes out on top. Everyone loves that kind of a story thing, But I always thought he was good. I always thought there's a few holes in his game, game plan wise, maybe not skill set wise, but game plan wise, skill set wise, there's a few holes in his game. But I know he's a true champion and a true competitor. He's always trying to work on his holes, work on his game, and get better here, get better there. My job to make sure on Saturday night, I capitalize and take advantage of those, holes in his game.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I could, to Michael, same kind of question, but in reverse. I wonder, I know you were watching Benson from afar for a long time at this point. I mean, what did you kind of think about him as his reign as champion and over the time since?
Benson's had a phenomenal career. There's definitely back in the day, he was UFC champion. I was Bellator champion. He was ranked number 1. I was ranked number 3 in the world. And it was kind of that what-if matchup. What if these guys could fight? Now we finally get to see. He's continued to impress. He's continued to win. And great careers and great legacies can't be had without great opponents. I look at Benson Henderson like that. As we alluded to earlier, he's been champion in the WC, he's been champion in the UFC. But I'll be damned if I'm going to step into that cage Saturday night and lose his belt. I've trained my tail off. I've gone through some of the hardest hardships that you can go through in this sport, losing 3 fights in a row, coming back, believing that great things are going to happen, believing that no matter what, my next breakthrough was right around the corner. I never lost faith, never once thought about quitting, and where I think a lot of people would. So where I've been and where I am now, I'm just confident. I'm excited to go out there and put it on the line against one of the best guys in the world, one of the biggest names in the sport. So it's exciting. It's exciting to be able to do it. I've always been wanting to be put on a platform, and this is definitely one of them. Definitely a great opportunity. Fight TV, live and free. So it's going to be great. And I'm the kind of guy who comes forward and I put on exciting fights. Benson is a game plan artist. He gets his game plan. He sticks to it, and he's focused on winning. I'm focused on dominating. I want to go out there and I want to try to get the finish. So we'll see. As he said, how the chips fall on Saturday night. And my confidence is just sky high right now.
Yeah, I mean, when you see kind of what he's done so far in Bellator, the Koreshkov fight and the Pitbull fight, have you been impressed by the performances you've seen?
I haven't been too impressed. It's one of those things. I mean, when you come in and you lose a fight, and then you have another fight where he wasn't necessarily doing that well, and a guy breaks his leg. I mean, there's really not a ton to be impressed with. But like we've seen before, the man is a champion. The man is a professional. Just because he has a couple bad performances doesn't mean he's not still one of the best in the world. And so I have to prepare accordingly, and I have prepared accordingly. I've dotted my I's and crossed my T's, and I will be on my P's and Q's on Saturday night, and you will see the best version of myself. And if the Benson Henderson of late shows up, it could be a better night than I thought it was going to be. But I believe that he's prepared. I believe that he it's no secret that him and I have been watching each other fight for the last 6, 7, 8 years. So we're very familiar with each other, where their holes are, where the deficiencies are, and where the strengths are. So I'm excited to go out there, implement my game plan, fight down my mouthpiece, come out swinging like I always do, and I have full confidence that I'm going to go out there and get a dominant victory.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. And lastly, for Michael Page, this is really a third time charm type of situation. I wonder just for you, I mean, when they offered you this fight, was there any trepidation about kind of going down this road one more time, considering the way the last few have ended?
Oh, it doesn't bother me. It's just, like I said, it's just another name. Like, that's all I see. Another name on a piece of paper that they asked me they selected, and I just got to go in there and be me, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like within their own position, it's hard to kind of find two guys that will give you respect. I mean, just speaking recently with Paul Bailey, he told our site that a fight against Henderson just sees himself sort of past that fight.
I actually can't hear you. I can't hear you quite clear at all.
It's okay. Well, thanks guys for the time and good luck this season. I appreciate it.
Just as a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Our next question comes from Dwayne Finley with Flow Combat. Your line is live.
Thanks for your time, gentlemen. I'll start with Michael Chandler. Mike, you said that, your first reign, the opposition, you were a little frustrated that you weren't, getting better opposition now in this reign. Yeah, you have a lot of potential contenders, starting with, with a former champion in Benson. How important is it for your progression in your career to get fights like this?
It's key. It's absolutely vital. I didn't come into this sport to just fight and do well. I came into the sport to be great. I truly believe I was called to the sport to be put on a platform and reach new heights and reach people and do some great things, both athletically and just in so many aspects. So, I mean, in order to solidify my legacy, in order to continue to grow my brand, in order to continue to accomplish my mission, I need great opponents. And that's what I've said in the past. And now we're seeing a very interesting MMA landscape now with different guys coming over and guys leaving Bellator and going to the UFC. So it's cool to see the sport progress, and it's awesome to be right here in the middle of it, getting the opportunity to go out and fight Benson Henderson, getting the opportunity to fight Josh Thompson. He's next. You get the opportunity to possibly go up to welterweight, fight guys like Roy McDonald, fight these Paul Daly, fight these guys, these names, and there's no doubt that there's going to keep on be more shuffling of the MMA promotion rosters. And it's great it's fallen great for me. The chips are falling great for me, and I'm excited to be able to go out there and compete against a former world champion like Benson.
Thank you, Michael. And for Benson, you mentioned today a few times that titles aren't the motivation, and you said plenty of time before that your personal progress and your drive to be great. That's key for you going into this fight. Is it the same thing? Can you talk about what your personal kind of scope is right now?
Yeah, how you doing? I'd say for me personally right now, it's just always the same as it has been, as tried as it is, as it may be, just getting 1% better every single day, getting 1% better and being as good as I can be, having great performances, showing up, showing out, all that stuff, man, all that stuff. I think, come Saturday night, I'm going to have a great performance. I'm making sure I'm going to have a great performance. I work my butt off, and it's, time to have a great night. Time to have a great performance. I haven't had a great performance in Bellator yet. And come Saturday night, I'm going to make sure I have my first great performance for Bellator.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Our next question comes from Chamathar Sandhu with MMA Junkie. Your line is live.
During Halloween, have you watched them?
Your line seems to be cutting in and out, but I'm not sure if you can repeat your question, Sean.
Yeah, of course. Fernando, question regarding the video packages that Michael Page has produced and released this year, most recently during Halloween. A, do you watch them? And B, what was your reaction to these video packages?
Sorry, hang on one second.
I thought it was kind of funny. Hello?
I think you were muted, possibly. Do you think you could repeat your answer to the question, please?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I said, I watched both the videos. I thought it was kind of funny because, especially the last one, bad choice in food products, I guess. He's basically eating balls and drinking milk, and he's cupping and savoring the taste. So I don't know. I didn't know how to take that as a call out, but I think the victory alone is going to be enough for me.
All right, Shamaka, is there a follow-up?
I just said Michael Page is listening to this conference call right now. Does Fernando have a message for him right now, leading into this fight?
The same message that I said before is just show up. I respect him as a fighter, but after this, I'll allow him to congratulate me for making him a better fighter. He hasn't been tested, and I'm gonna give him his first loss.
Michael, do you have a response to that?
I'm allergic to bullshit, so not going to respond.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Operator, we can go to our next question.
Our next question comes from Steve Morocco with USA Today. Your line is live.
And the question for I'm going to follow up on something that Chamatkar asked earlier. What branch do you want to go into when you do join the military?
At this point, because I'm so old, I'm a little limited because I have to be able to get into. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't really have a preference. I just would like to serve my country. I think serving is a lost art, giving back of the country, not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I think it's seriously, we're lost today. Our society, our country, something is wrong with us. We are jacked up in the head. We place our priorities extremely ass backwards. We celebrate freaking morons who are just solely focused on social media and this and that. And so when I, raise my kids, I like to express to them the importance of doing real stuff, giving back to your country, doing good, being a good person, trick. So that would be me, going out of my way to do something to give back to my country, so I can raise my kids and say, hey, look at this. This is what I did for this country. It's just, I don't know, other life stuff, but I don't really care about which branch it would be. I just have to get in. I have to do, because I am so old and I have a hand tattoo. There's a bunch of different waivers and this and that I have to do and I have to go through.
Wait, a hand tattoo rules you out of a particular line of service?
Yeah.
Which one?
I think it's the Marines or the Army. I forget whichever branch it was. But they you have to you can get in with anything, but you have to have a special waiver disconception form or something like that, and then get approved by their board or whatever.
Oh wow! And does it matter, like, you said you just want to serve. Does that mean you serve behind the front lines? Or, if they call you up and say, hey, you're infantry, is that good as well?
Yeah, I'd do whatever. If it was, cleaning the window, but I'm cleaning the window for my country, sure, no problem. It would be kind of boring. It could be kind of sucky, but I'm cool with that. I'm a humble man. If it happens to be, doing something front lines or yada, 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 like, that's not ideal. It's not what a lot of people want to do, but yeah, I'm cool with that as well.
Have you communicated this possible timeline to Bellator? Was that something that was sort of built into the deal you signed?
No, there's my own personal thing. I didn't even talk about for years and years and years. Someone finally got wind of it and like, oh, hey, yada, yada, yada. Then they got out there and now, everyone's talking about it. But this was, my own personal thing that I've wanted to do for years now. And hopefully before I get too old and they completely say no to me outright, I will be able to do that.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Our next question comes from Steve Juwan with MMA Mania. It's live.
Thank you, operator. My first question is for Benson Henderson. In the title eliminator fight in Anaheim, you were setting a very calm and deliberate pace throughout that fight. And before we could really see you explode in that cage, Pitbull was taken out with an injury. Now, knowing the kind of fighter Chandler is, are you going to look to set a faster pace, or will we see a more measured response?
We'll see. We'll see. It's hard to dictate, say, oh, I'm going to do exactly this, or I'm going to do exactly that. I think it's kind of hard to dictate as far as game plan wise. If I was an NFL coach, I would not be one of those coaches who has the first 15 plays of the game scripted out, and no matter what happens, we're going to run these 15 plays. For me, I think it's much more of a feel out process. Okay, we're throwing down. Sure, let's do it. Let's go. Throw down. You want to hit it 100 miles an hour. You want to hit the gas pedal the first 15 seconds. Cool. Let's do it. Let's find out. If it's more of a measured approach and we're kind of both feeling each other out and that's kind of what happened, that's cool too. No problem. But I don't think this is going to be a slow paced fight. This is going to be about probably an action paced, high paced, action packed fight as you've seen inside the Bellator cage.
Very good. We look forward to seeing it. And Challenger, it's a role that you've been in before. You've been the champion before. Which one do you relish more as you're going into this fight?
You know what? I think, to be honest, it's a good question. It's a great question. I think, to be honest, I actually do enjoy being a bit of an underdog. I think I've been an underdog most of my whole career. For a long time, having to prove people wrong and that sort of stuff. I do like that. I do enjoy that.
And for the champion, Michael Chandler, we already know your history in Bellator. There's really not much left for you to prove at this point. Some of the greatest wars with Eddie Alvarez this fighting landscape has ever seen. You're a two-time champion. What's left for you to say with this fight with Benson Henderson?
For me, there's still so much more to prove, and it's not to prove to fans, not to prove to Bellator, it's not to prove to anybody but myself. I was put in this sport to be great, and I've made some mistakes in fights before. I've made some mistakes in training. I've been deficient in certain areas. But right now I can say I'm firing on all cylinders, and this is literally the best that I've ever been. And it's not just one of those things that people say because they have a fight coming up. I really do feel like mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, I'm the best that I've ever been. Finally, I'm 100% of giving myself permission to be the best in the entire world. And we've seen that over my last couple fights. We've seen it over the last year. We've seen that in my dominant performances. We've seen that in my composure in the cage. And it's just everything is finally clicking. So to be able to go out there and fight Benson Henderson at this moment is a dream come true. You want your biggest test at your best moments, and it really is the best season of my life. And this is my banner year, and the next 4 years, next 5 years are going to be my banner years. I'm going to be the best that I've ever been. I'm going to be the most dominant I've ever been. And I'm just still scratching the surface of how good I can get in this sport. I was world champion a year and a half into this sport. And it's taken many years and many ups and downs to get to where I am. And I'm excited to be able to go out there and compete. I love what I'm doing. I love my life. I can't wait to go out there and compete.
All right. We look forward to seeing you as their best moment on Saturday. Gentlemen, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right, everybody. That'll conclude our conference call for today. We really appreciate you calling in. Have a great day and tune in on Saturday.